Finding balance in the modern world isn't easy, but I believe nature has everything we need. I'm Frankie, a plant-based chef living on a narrowboat in one of the busiest cities. Nature is my muse and I create delicious recipes, forage wild herbs from city parks and follow nature cycles and prove that city living can be done differently. Through good food and raw, honest storytelling, I celebrate the magic and messiness of life.
So it's not quite a recipe today, but I guess this is like a recipe of my everyday living. So we're gonna go on a tour of my boat and I'm gonna talk about some things that people ask me on social media and stuff all the time. So yeah, come on in, MTV Cribs. So the kitchen is where all the magic happens. Like, this is where I probably spend most of my time. Even though I love making recipes and stuff, I like relaxing, hence why my recipes are usually quite quick, because I'm like, love the kitchen, love laying down. So there's both. So this little section here, I call this like my hobbit shelves, because it's like very like rummagey. And I've got like superfoods and kind of like special herbs here, and then like normal spices, and there's wild garlic, oils and things. And I don't know, here I just think is like the corner of possibilities a little bit. I know maybe for some people it's like, what the hell? But like when you really start to learn that each spice has like an energetic property, you know, like every single thing you use, you're adding an essence to it. It's not just cooking for flavour, it's like cooking for like energy, which may sound mad to some, but that's how I cook. It's more like, how is it going to make me feel ultimately? So there's that. So underneath this, bit of a random one, my compost. Everybody should be composting. They should, because well, it's a reflection of life. You make something, you have like these things and you give it back to the earth and it regenerates and creates good soil. I think about that with ideas, with like, if I'm having a bad day and I go into the woods and I'm just like, I'm just giving it back to the earth. It's like this kind of cyclical living, and I think basically we should all be composting. I don't want to be preachy, but I just think composting for the metaphor of it, and also it's just good for the planet. I live in such a small space, and obviously I'm a chef and I like don't have a professional kitchen, so I'm like taking my stuff with me all the time. So the drawers and the shelves go really far back, so I can just put as much stuff in there. And like I do have a couple of friends that I leave my stuff there, but as a whole, you know, I've got way more plates than any normal boater would have, because I like a nice selection. These posh pans are from my nan. My God. So my nan is 98 now, absolute legend, but she can't, they're too heavy for her, so she gave them to me. So these are so old. I was like, Nan, this is the greatest gift ever, and they just look really nice. When there's a storm, it wakes me up because they do this. That's what wakes me up in the morning, how I know when there's like crazy wind. Mugwort. Mugwort is like, they call it like the initiation plant, basically. It's the grandmother of all plants. We used to smoke it. It's used for incense. It's like been used for ceremonies on this land for hundreds and hundreds of years. So I always think, I always have mugwort on my boat, because it's just like, yeah, it's just like my grandmother says, it's like the grandmother of plants. It's almost waiting for her children, us being the children, to come back to the plant world, and it's waiting to embrace them and like remind them of the knowledge that lives deep within. This is my incense section. I love a good incense. All about the smells, I think. So I've got all of these, they're like the real resin of different smells. And then we have sprays for smells. I don't really wear perfume, but I like to like spritz the room, or when people are having, I do energy sessions on the boat, all about working with the shadow and the inner child. The sprays are good when people are coming back to the real world. And then we have Mother Earth, the womb, where everything begins. When I was living in the jungle, we would have lots of statues like this that we made out of clay, and we would pour red wine to honour things and stuff, and it's just a good reminder when I light a candle of like yeah, I guess the divine of the woman, and also Mother Earth and all of it. And then here we have like superfoods and things like this. So yeah, the ingredients. Musical station. Because I do like moon jams, and I have like lots. I can't even play the guitar, by the way. I'm like slowly learning. Fucking terrible. But I just think it's nice when people they can just pick an instrument up and play. I just think everywhere should have instruments, even if you can't play them. Oh, and this. Oh my God. Lucy's like, I made this drum with my bare hands. Yeah, mental. This is, I can't even remember, elk, I think. My friend was like, every person should birth a drum once in their life. And it took me something like 15 hours. And by 4 hours in, I was like, motherfucking drum. Hate this drum, like, because it was just so, like, I had to carve all of this and all the bits. And he was like, your energy is going into the drum. And I was like, oh my God. But yeah, I think when you birth a drum, it's like the heart, they say it's like the heartbeat of the earth. So it's like the spirit of the animal and stuff like that. I sometimes, it's kind of, I do use it now and then, but it's just quite nice. Like, I'm birthed a drum. It's kind of mad looking, really, isn't it? Great thing about a boat, there's no phone signal, so I'm just constantly like this at my window trying to figure it out. Okay, so this is my altar. Each month I'll go and collect things from kind of the land and where I am and put it on there. And also when I do like circles or events and stuff, the altar is always in the middle and it's always like bigger and like bolder. So this is like a condensed down altar. And this always kind of reminds me to kind of meditate. It's like bringing sacred into the everyday. And I'll like light my candles kind of at night, sometimes in the morning too. As it's cold at the minute, I turn the candles on and then I light the fire in the morning. I really try not to use any artificial lights. This bit in the middle is like the cauldron. So for those that don't know about the cauldron, I mean, we're all witches and wizards really inside, I think. But the cauldron is like represents where dreams would happen or when we'd want to put intentions in. That's why, you know, when you watch children's TV programs and there's a cauldron or the witches and wizards, that's where it all started in this land before. We'd come back to the pot, to the fire. We'd put herbs and spices in and our dreams and wishes and make potions for strength and all this stuff. So it's almost like in Latin America, you have like the womb. They always talk about the womb and how, you know, like that's the most powerful thing. And it is, but this is this land's womb, I guess you could say. And then I have like mushrooms and mandrake. All these little things represent just like something in me, I guess. The fire, I think, is like the center point. I think that's why I love living on a boat, because there's no, for me anyway, there's no TV. This is my TV. So it's like everything is centered around the fire, whereas in a modern house, everything usually is centered around a TV. I don't have the internet on this boat, which is a little bit difficult now. I'm like becoming more online, but I'm really fighting with that because I just think I want my home to feel a place where I disconnect. So like me stocking the fire, I always am reminded of like that inner fire, you know, as I look after that and warm myself. It's all a reflection ultimately. I think so many stories are told around it and it's just a great centre point. Something that I want to talk about is how I got my boat. Everyone always asks how I got my boat. And in all honesty, I had no money. I was on benefits. Yeah, I was living at a friend's place and I always knew I wanted to live on a boat. When I gave up my drug addictions, and I remember I was like kind of coming back to life, I went on a boat in the jungle and I remember being on water and it was the first time I ever felt free and like free of like, just like not addicted, not anything. I just felt this sense of just like, oh my God, like this is what it feels like to be present and alive. And I was on water and it just, I don't think I'll ever forget that feeling. Like, even if I say it, I can feel it. It just, you know, then, you know, when you have that flicker of like, you remember who you really are, maybe you're watching a sunset or maybe something, it was that. And from that point, I knew I'd always live on a boat at some point. And then fast forward all these times, my ex-husband didn't want to live on a boat. So when we finished, I was like, okay, well, I kind of was a little bit broken, as you do after a divorce, and was living at friends, on sofas, all the things. The pandemic was, I think, like just started. And anyway, there was no work, no nothing. I was on benefits and I was like, fuck it, I'm going to try and get a boat. And I saw this boat advertised and I just went and I had no money, no nothing. It was like a lot of money because I have permanent mooring. And I was like, I'm going to do it. And I was like, this is my boat. And the man was like, okay, cool. Have you got a deposit? I was like, I actually don't have any money. And he was like, okay. I was like, give me 2 weeks and I'll find the money. So I left and I was like, shit. I went to every single bank. They said no. I went everywhere sent no. Even them really high interest places, they said no. And I'd spoken to friends and stuff, and in the end he rang me and he was like, I've had 3 people that have offered me cash, but I want you to have the boat. And I was like, that's my boat, man, like I really want this boat. And then slowly friends started calling up, and like my friends don't have a lot of money. It's not like I'm from like a rich background, we're all working class. Like so a lot of my friends have lost a parent quite young, like myself, like, you know. And slowly people be like, I've got 500 quid, here's 50 quid, here's this, here's that. And over the course of like 10 days, people were just like offering me money, but not like I had to pay them back, of course. And in the end, I managed to get the fee of like £60,000 through my community. And not even that, like friends of friends, you know, like one of my friends like kind of offered to even remortgage her council flat, like, and like things like this. And one friend was like pregnant and didn't have much, and she was like, here, I've got 500 quid, it's all I've got. It was just like, and then I went to the man, I was like, I've got the money. And he was like, are you a drug dealer? And I was like, no, like, it's just my community. And I think we forget the power of community. And I paid them all back. I didn't have to pay interest or anything. And it was like the first time in my life that I put safety in me. And it was like a reflection of me rebuilding my life. And that's why my events are donation based. And I will stick with that when they're on the boat. With Moonjans and the supper clubs, it's donation based, because this boat, the way that it came to me, this boat was meant, it like, I get, it sounds silly, but it gave me the space to kind of heal and come back to the life after a breakup. And also I've seen so many people come through and it's done the same, and like it's all the power of community. And I think like the banks, no joking, but like on a level, like it's just like, yeah, the power of community is everything, and that is how I got the boat. So I spent years working my arse off to pay everyone back, and yeah, like and I worked hard, like grafted, and it's just like, I actually can't believe, like, oh my God, I actually went up, that I actually have my own home. And yeah, like, this is it, all from the power of the people. Like, amazing. The biggest recipe of life, I think, is community, actually. There we go. It's my sofa of dreams. This is a really good sofa because it's got space underneath. And I think recipe for life, have things that are movable. That was always like, have things that are movable. And yeah, and it's also really cozy. See, this is it. So there we go. This is my nan in like the 70s teaching yoga. How cute she is in her little orange get up gear. My library. Books. Amazing, amazing book. Lots of books that I have read over the years and that have like changed my life and yeah, inspired me ultimately. That's what books are, aren't they? Knowledge, 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 knowledge. So this is the bathroom where I shower, toilet, all the bits. It's really small in here, so you're not coming in completely, but we do shower on boats. Okay. And then we've got the bedroom, which is my favourite place where I spend most of my time. I love bed. Who doesn't love bed, to be honest? I think rest is so important and we need more rest. And I can watch the sunrise from here. I think I feel the safest actually in bed, where I'm just like, oh my God, I love it. So yeah, and then I have all my clothes underneath. And yeah, this is where I actually do my best writing, actually, from my bed. It's like, I call it the boffice, like the office and bed, like boffice. And that's the tour of the boat. I wanted to show you them bits just because they're really important parts to me. And I guess the whole story about community for me was like just to remind people, like, if you know, you can come from nothing and you can have nothing and you can still find a way. I think if you have a dream, just to run with the dream, even if people tell you not to, you can make it happen. And like, just find a way, get creative. Like you know, I got rejected so many times finding money for this boat, and in the end it came. And like, dreams do happen. Like, they do.